This video is sponsored by Busola Martins, a talented gospel singer, worship leader, vocalist, and songwriter. Busola Martins. Busola Martins resides in New Zealand, but her music is touching lives and inspiring change across the world. Busola Martins, beautiful music, wonderful message. Watch more videos from Busola Martins by visiting www.busolamartins.com. Welcome to the Shirati Report. I'm Clyde Shirati. Today I'll be talking to Fred Alale. He is the recently re-elected president of the Nigerian Society of Victoria. I'll be talking to Fred about the whole election process and trying to find out what he wants to be able to achieve with his brand new term. Fred, let me just start by saying congratulations for the re-election.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the whole election process. How did it go?
Oh, well, look, it's for me, it's a great story of achievement. It's a great story of growth. It's a great story of community engagement and participation. So for the first time, we had the Nigerian community across Victoria come out to elect their new executive team members, and we had over 450 people crammed into this hall for this election, and which is a phenomenal leap in what we've previously achieved in terms of elections. For example, when I was first elected as the president of the Nigerian Society of Victoria 3 years ago, there were only just over 50 people there at that meeting compared to 450 this time. So, and also even the team I had to work with then, I had to, I would say, sweet talk them to come on board to serve. And at that point, 3 years ago, we used to beg people to come and serve on the executive team, to where we've now got to a situation where people are actively campaigning to be on the executive team, and we have multiple nominations for each position. For me, that's phenomenal success, and I'm really glad that we're at that level.
Now, Fred, you would think that many members of your community groups, being from a professional background, they wouldn't have a lot of time to be involved in a lot of community activities. How come this time they're all getting engaged?
Look, I think so. What led to the growing interest? Look, I think we as a Nigerian community have been scoring a lot of goals. We've been punching way above our weight compared to, in terms of numbers, we're relatively small. So, I mean, by the last census, I think it was just over 1,950 thereabouts, Nigerian-born residents in Victoria. But I'm conservatively estimating we've got about 4,500 Nigerians across Victoria. And I guess over the last 3 years, me and my team, we've worked together to raise the profile of the Nigerian community, to raise our pride in the Nigerian community, and also to use the skills and experience we have in the Nigerian community to improve and start to redefine the story of the wider African Australian community. We have a base of highly professional people that can be busy, and especially even like people in the medical field, where they also work at weekends, night shifts, day shifts, and weekend work, because hospitals don't close at the end during the weekend or during the night. But people still turned out in their droves because there was this election was really intense. It was really contested. We had two other candidates running for president, which I was delighted to have, because it just added to the feel and excitement. And for me, I just see it as testament to the work that my team and I did in the first year, where we raised the profile and pride in the Nigerian community, where people before didn't feel any relevance or any connection with the Nigerian community.
This video is sponsored by JobHib International. JobHib helps students in Australia to solve visa and permanent residency issues. JobHib also helps students in Africa, especially in Nigeria, to enroll and study in Australia. Visit JobHib's website, www.jobhib.com. Now, talking of engagement, Fred, in the lead up to the elections, I'm connected to a lot of Nigerians on Facebook, and I was reading some of the comments about a lot of things that people were talking in relation to the association and the candidates. Some of the comments were quite nasty. What do you think caused all of that?
Wow, look, as I said before, I'm glad that people were so passionate and engaged, and honestly, it was disappointing that there were some comments and people saying a lot of falsehoods there, like false news. For example, there was a rumor that the executive changed the constitution on their own, which is absolutely false.
Well, another comment, one specific comment that I actually remember said that you spent $70,000 to organize Independence Day, and this is still a pretty small organization, and that's a big amount of money. What do you respond to that sort of comment?
We've also had some criticisms that maybe 2 years ago we had a Nigerian artist, his name is D'banj, come to perform at our Independence Day party. And yes, and we paid a lot. We paid 50,000. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, 50,000, you don't earn." Some people don't earn 50,000 a year. So yeah, look, that's true. But then that's the cost of the talent. And actually, before we brought this talent there, we did send a survey out to members to say, "What would you like to see at our Independence Day?" So the ones that were bothered sent us replies and did the survey and actually said, we do want a major artist there. Then before we signed the contract with the major artist, we sent a communication to members to say, we're about to sign a contract with the major artist. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to be expensive and that. And then when it was signed, we also then sent them communications about this. So we took members along the journey. The problem though is that some members, as you mentioned, yes, they're professionals. They don't read their email communications. And because we've got such a huge number of members, I can't, or my executive can't individually be calling people to say, this is what we're doing. We rely on those email communications and our social media communications and the owners of members to read those email communications. Some people said, oh, I sent emails in the middle of the night. Hey, guys, I work more than 9 to 5 every single day. I've got a day job that I do. And so I need to fit the work of the Nigerian Society of Victoria after I finish my day job. I mean, for example, even coming for this interviews, I've just got off a flight from Canberra where I've been working Monday to Friday. So, and I'll make this time community time. So other people would come up, if they were in my position, would be glad to just go home, rest and go and do other things. But then now I switch the mode and say, what do I do for my community? And this is the time I have. So unfortunately, the time that we have to be sending this communication is at night time because it's a voluntary position, it's not a paid position.
Now, did you get value for money for that $50,000 that you spent to bring that artist into Australia?
I think we got exceptional value for money. One, we had exceptional reviews from members because we sent a survey to members too. After that, again, the feedback we got was they were delighted with the performance of D'banj. Two, we sold out all our tickets there for the first time, sold out the tickets. Three, even when it came to sponsorship and donations, because people now saw that you got a special product, we had a record amount of sponsorship and donations. We had 45,000 in sponsorship and donations.
So you didn't spend $50,000.
So when you factor that in, the 50,000 that we paid for D'banj was at the end of it, after the expenses there, we were up by $25,000 after the events that we had. So that was 25,000 that we didn't have before we started the event. And also this 50,000, by the way, wasn't, a lot of people misconception is that we could have spent this 50,000 on something. Sorry, that 50,000 wasn't in the bank account to start with. It was generated through the tickets, through the donations and the sponsorship. If we didn't have the D'banj, you wouldn't have had that 50,000 in there. We didn't have the 50,000 before. The year before, the closing balance in our account was about 25,000.
When you look at the whole thing in the lead up to the elections and the elections process itself, are there any lessons that you've learned that you would like to share with people watching?
So look, lessons that I've learned and I'd like to share with people watching is, look, I think it was good that the way we ran the election, that we had an independent electoral committee, because we went above what we needed to do there, because if you look at the standard constitution model rules, the president would be presiding over the meeting. If there was an election, then he would nominate somebody at the meeting who wasn't running to be the election sort of coordinator there. But hey, we set up an electoral committee before this election, and they were independent. They had their own email communication, and they planned the election and made it happen. And so that was a really good thing for transparency, because if we hadn't had that, and I'd come back into office, there could be allegations then to say that, look, maybe it wasn't free and fair and so on. So it was good for me. That was a good lesson that we had an independent electoral committee. We also had an independent monitor, and actually now I think we're actually going to also go one step further to actually maybe pull together some election procedures. We're ahead of time, so people even know about it, and it will be standard the way to run elections, that elections will be run, and so that we can even publish that on our emails and let people know. So even coming up to the elections in 3 years' time, people will know precisely what is going on and what they have to do, so they're more well informed this time. And I guess also maybe, so I didn't engage in a lot of internet, or not internet, in a lot of Facebook conversations about the election, because for me it was just the allegations and the things people were just saying was just way out there. And interestingly too, it was by people that weren't really involved in an association before. So for me that was disheartening, but the good thing is, I'm glad about the professionals that we have in our communities who are more, I would say, more savvy and know the value and know the amount of time and investment and value that that I and my team brought to the association, and they came out. I had doctors that shut their practice from that day to come all the way from Echuca. Dr. A.G. came from Echuca. Another doctor came from far away Victoria country just to be there at this election. So it meant that much to them. They were that passionate, because they said, look, you've brought this association to that level, and we need to make sure that we continue to move forward with that. So I was glad to see that level of engagement of other members there.
Let me ask you, Fred, is there still any element of division along ethnic lines within the Nigerian society, as in the old days with the Yoruba and Igbo, all that sort of thing? Is that still happening?
No, I wouldn't say so. But first of all, me and my team are apolitical. We're mixed from various backgrounds. Although, yes, we did have a big, I would say, of the other people running for president and some other, there was a faction that was from a certain group, predominantly from a certain group, and it was pretty much from that group and not the other group. But look, for me, I look beyond that. A lot of Nigerians don't actually even know what tribe I come from. You achieve more together when you come together, when there's diversity of backgrounds, of ideas, of people. The only thing is, I like to work with people that deliver, people that do what they say they will do. I like to hold people accountable. I don't just want people that just talk the talk. I want people that walk the walk.
Moving forward, Fred, you got a brand new term. What would you like to be able to achieve with this term?
Okay, by the time I finish this new term, look, right at the top of my agenda is the creation of a Nigeria House. Nigeria House is a multifunction event center where we're going to celebrate the Nigerian heritage, culture, and tradition, where members and community will be able to come together. And beyond that, I still continue the work I do to raise the profile of the Nigerian-Australian community, to continue to contribute the talents, the skills, and experience to the wider African community and to the wider Australian community.
And when you hear all the criticisms prior to the elections, are there any things that you would like to change in this new term? Yeah.
Look. I think it's it's important to listen out there and to understand that, to understand and tap into the voice of other members of the community that haven't been as outspoken. So things that I've heard loud and clearly is some segment of the community didn't like the fact that maybe we brought major artists to our Independence Day celebration. So that's a degree of sensitivity to me. So perhaps in the next 3 years, we might not be doing something as bold as that again. I need to see how my team and I can bring all members together across that journey. How do we also communicate to them more effectively so that they know what is going on? Look at other channels to more effectively communicate with them, maybe not just by emails, to spread the message and what we're doing to them. So those are the type of things that we're going to be looking at doing.
Well, Fred, thank you very much for your time to Africa Media Australia. Again, we wish you a very successful term, and we always available here if you want to come and talk to us.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you for having me.